Welcome to Reddit Confessions.
I let the wedding begin, and then I ruined it by showing footage of the bride's betrayal with the boyar. It's strange, the things your brain registers when your heart starts to crack. For me, it was the faint light of her phone screen, lighting up her cheek while she slept. Samantha had always been meticulous about silencing notifications at night. But last night, the universe decided to be kind in the cruelest way. I was lying next to her, wide awake. Nerves, I told myself. Tomorrow was our wedding. The culmination of 2 years, dozens of events planned by her, thousands of dollars in vineyard deposits and floral arrangements and fittings. And there it was. A soft ping. Her wedding app. My first instinct wasn't suspicion. It was reflex. I leaned over to silence it so it wouldn't wake her. But curiosity? It's a bitch. I glanced at the screen. New message, Derek Wolf. Can't stop thinking about the other night. The way you whispered my name while your fiancé was at the station? Unreal. My blood didn't run cold. It boiled. I stared at it for a full 10 seconds. I wanted to wake her. I wanted to scream. But I didn't. Instead, I clicked. My fingers numb, my face blank. And there it was. A secret chat thread. Hidden under a calendar marked florals, vendor notes. Clever. The messages read like a novel. One where I was the fool in every chapter. Derek, you looked so hot in his shirt. Samantha, he doesn't even notice when I wear yours anymore, winking face. Derek, but he wouldn't recognize his own bed if he saw what we did on it. That was the night before our wedding. Our home. Our bed. I put the phone down gently. Her breathing was slow, peaceful. I stared at the ceiling and felt something in me. Something warm, human, start to rot. That's when it clicked. I wasn't going to confront her. I was going to let her marry me. And then I'd burn everything to the ground. Let me rewind. I'm Ethan Cole, 30, firefighter, born and raised in Marin County. Honest work, real friends, solid values. The usual boring stuff women say they want until someone like Derek Wolf shows up with his tailored suits and charm. Samantha Hayes? She was the girl everyone envied. Head event planner at a top firm in Napa. Flawless on the outside. Ruthless underneath. Knew how to smile in a way that made people feel small. She curated her life like a Pinterest board. Perfect lighting, perfect filters, perfect lies. Together, we looked like the dream. Sunset photos, engagement hashtags, vineyard tours and bridal showers. But at home, she was distant. Always working late. Always planning something. I chalked it up to wedding stress. Big mistake. There were signs in hindsight. The way she got weird when Derek came over. How she laughed a little too hard at his jokes. How her phone was always face down. But the real betrayal? It wasn't just her cheating. It was who she did it with. Derek Wolf. My best man. My oldest friend. The guy who toasted at my promotion party. Who stood beside me in the hospital when my dad passed. I should have thrown the ring at her that night. I should have packed my things and disappeared. But instead, I got out of bed slowly. Quietly. I walked to the living room and sat in the dark. Then I started planning. Not a wedding. A reckoning. They thought I'd be at the firehouse that night. I wasn't. The worst part about betrayal? It's not the first crack. It's realizing how deep the cracks go once you look. I spent the next morning moving through our house like a ghost. She was in the kitchen, humming, making avocado toast like we were still two people in love. Like she hadn't been trading dirty messages with my best man behind my back. I sipped my coffee and nodded along as she talked about the rehearsal dinner. You okay? She asked, narrowing her eyes slightly. Just tired, I said, smiling. Didn't sleep much. She touched my arm. It's wedding week. Nerves are normal. I kissed her forehead. Yeah, must be that. It took everything in me not to flinch. Later that day, I sat in my truck outside Station 7, going through my text history with Derek. Old messages about late-night beers, football games, calls during hard shifts. He was the guy who held my shoulder after I pulled a kid out of a burning minivan. The guy who stood beside me when my brother OD'd. And now, he was the guy screwing my fiancée. The messages between them started innocently months ago. Can't wait to see you at the tasting. So proud of you both. But then there were gaps. Dates that didn't line up. Samantha saying she was meeting with a florist while I was stuck on overtime. And Derek just happening to post a story from the same downtown hotel. I remembered a Thursday night she came home tipsy, claiming she and her bridesmaids had done a last-minute wine tour. I checked Derek's feed. That night, he'd posted from a private tasting room. For two, with 2 glasses in the shot. No tags. No faces. Just shadows and wine. She lied. He lied. But I still had one thing left. Control. That night, I told Samantha I had an overnight shift. She didn't question it. I kissed her goodbye and watched her close the door. Then I drove around the block. Parked. Waited. At 9:42 p.m. a car pulled up. Black BMW. Derek's. He didn't even hesitate walking up to the door. Used the key under the mat like it was routine. I didn't follow him in. I didn't want to see it with my own eyes. Instead, I opened the glove box and stared at the small box I'd picked up earlier that day. A hidden camera. 2, actually. One for the bedroom. One for the living room. That was when I made the decision. I wasn't going to confront them. Not yet. I was going to document everything. Not for closure. For the ceremony. The next day, Samantha texted me a photo of her holding a clipboard at our venue. Final walkthrough done. It's all happening, Redheart. I stared at her smile, framed by grapevines and golden light. And all I saw was rot. I texted back, looks amazing. Can't wait to marry you. She replied with a heart emoji. Derek messaged too. Got your bachelor party speech ready. Gonna be wild. I replied, make it heartfelt, man. I want everyone crying. He sent back a laughing emoji. I stared at the screen for a long time before I deleted the chat. The next time I was on shift, I came home quietly and slipped the USB card from the hidden camera. The cameras had done their job. It was all there. Them. Together. On our couch. In my bed. Her whispering his name. Him laughing after. I watched with the volume off. No sound. Just betrayal in 1080p. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I labeled the USB drive in thick black marker. Best man. Then I put it in a box with our vows. And I smiled. She brought him into our home, our bed, while I was on shift. There's something brutal about watching a lie unfold in your own living room. Same walls. Same furniture. Same throw blanket she insisted we get from Crate and Barrel because it made the room feel warm. Now, it covered Derek's back while Samantha kissed him like I never existed. The footage wasn't grainy or accidental. It was clear. Perfect angle. Captured every second. And I didn't look away. She moaned his name. He said things I hadn't heard her whisper in months. And in the middle of it all, she laughed. That was the part that stuck with me. Not the sex. The laughter. That casual, carefree sound she used to save just for me. I paused the footage and stared at the screen. I should have felt anger. Maybe grief. But what I felt was sharper. Colder. Like glass sliding under your skin. They thought I didn't know. That I was out there running into burning buildings while they played house and mine. She'd even changed the sheets. I noticed that on the footage. Blue linen. Not the white ones we'd picked out together. Like she didn't want to leave a trace. But she forgot the cameras. The next day, I stopped by my buddy Jay's place, a videographer who owed me more than a few favors. I handed him the USB and a bottle of bourbon. Don't ask, I said. He looked at the drive label, best man, and raised an eyebrow. Wedding edit? Something like that. Any timeline. By Friday. Jay nodded. You got it. I didn't tell him what was on the drive. Didn't have to. That evening, Samantha handed me a printed seating chart. We finally got the numbers locked in. 212 guests, she said, kissing my cheek. Wow, I said. Big crowd. She smiled and went back to arranging names. And all I could think about was how she'd planned a wedding. Every flower, every plate, every wine pairing. While cheating with the man who would stand beside me at the altar. The duality of it was almost poetic. She had no idea I knew. And that was my power now. At dinner, I brought up Derek. You think he's nervous about the speech? She looked up, fork midair. What do you mean? You know, the best man toast. He said he's working on something. Oh, I'm sure he'll do great. Derek's charming. There was a flicker in her voice. Not guilt. Nostalgia. Tell him to go deep, I said. Heartfelt. Emotional. Make it count. She nodded, chewing slowly. I smiled. Back in our room, she curled into me like nothing had changed. I still can't believe I'm marrying you, she whispered. I wrapped my arm around her. I can't, I said softly. I've been planning it for months. She didn't catch the edge in my voice. She just sighed and fell asleep. When she was out cold, I walked into the closet and pulled out the shoebox I'd hidden behind the suits. Inside was a printed still from the video. A single frame. Her hand in Derek's hair. His wedding ring. My ring, still on the dresser behind them. I slipped the photo into an envelope. Wrote one word on the front. Memories. and tucked it into the best man's speech folder, right between the pages. He had no idea I'd rehearsed his downfall better than he rehearsed his toast. The rehearsal dinner was beautiful. String lights hanging from the vineyard rafters, long wooden tables with personalized menus, champagne flutes already half empty. Everyone was glowing, or maybe just a little drunk. Either way, it was perfect. Painfully perfect. Derek wore a navy suit, no tie, 2 buttons undone like he was auditioning to be the cool groomsman in someone else's movie. He hugged me like a brother. "You ready, man?" He grinned. "2 more days, and you're locking it down." I smiled. "Can't wait." Samantha watched us from across the room, wine in hand, gold earrings swaying. She was always good at reading the room. But that night, she was too busy playing the doting fiancé to see the war behind my eyes. We ran through the ceremony outline, practiced the walk, rehearsed where everyone would stand. When the officiant made a joke about no surprises, I laughed harder than I should have. I kept waiting for Derek to crack, for guilt to show in the twitch of his eye, the shake of his hand when he raised his glass. But he was cool, smug even. That's when I knew. He didn't just think I didn't know. He thought he deserved this. My fiancé, my friendship, my life. And that made what I was about to do even easier. Later, while everyone took group photos under the fairy lights, I pulled Derek aside. "Hey," I said, handing him a folded piece of paper. "What's this?" "Notes. For your speech," I said with a straight face. "Thought you could build off them. Make it emotional." He glanced at it. "Man, you really want tears at this wedding, huh?" "I want truth," I said. "Raw, real, something unforgettable." He clapped my back. "You got it. I'll make you proud up there." "You already have," I thought. "You made this so damn easy." That night in bed, Samantha curled against me. She smelled like vanilla and wine and lies. "I love you," she whispered. I kissed the top of her head. "I know." She didn't say it again. The next morning, I called the videographer and gave him exact timing cues. When Derek starts his speech, cue the slideshow. "You sure? Positive? And you want the footage at the end?" I paused. "Yeah, but just 30 seconds. No sound. Enough to be clear." He hesitated. "This is gonna blow things up, Ethan." "I'm counting on it." That evening, Derek sent me a preview of his speech. Corny lines about brotherhood. Stories from high school. A joke about how Samantha used to ignore him before she fell for me. I almost laughed. Instead, I texted back. "Looks great. Just don't upstage the bride." His reply? "Wouldn't dream of it, winking face." The emoji made my hand curl into a fist. I stared at the screen until the rage passed. Then I saved the messages in a new folder. Evidence. Because revenge is best when it leaves no room for doubt. The sun came up like nothing was wrong. Golden light over the vineyard. Crisp air. Rows of white chairs already gleaming with dew. You'd never guess that a bomb was about to go off. I shaved slowly. Showered. Buttoned the shirt she'd picked out for me. Blue-gray. The color of her eyes when she cries, she once said. Ironic. She'd be crying today. Just not for the reasons she thought. Derek showed up in his tailored suit, sunglasses on. Sipping a cold brew like this was just another Saturday. He walked into the groom's suite with that cocky half-smile of his and held up a flask. "To your last day as a free man." I took it. Toasted. "To knowing who your real friends are." He laughed. "You're getting sentimental on me, bro." Something like that. Outside, Samantha was already in hair and makeup. I caught a glimpse of her through the window. White robe, curlers, mimosa in hand, surrounded by bridesmaids gushing over her ring. She looked perfect. Picture perfect. The kind of woman you'd cross a room for. Maybe a line. Maybe a moral boundary. But not a best friend's fiancé. The photographer came in for the candid shots. Right next to the footage of him unzipping her dress in my living room. Smile for the camera, asshole. We went through the motions. Tuxes, ties, polished shoes. My best man adjusted my boutonniere. Ready to lock it down? I looked at him. Really looked. All that charm, that polish, it was skin deep. Underneath, he was just a selfish boy who wanted what he couldn't have. "I've never been more ready," I said. Guests started arriving in waves. Women in summer dresses, men loosening collars under the California sun. The air smelled like lavender and champagne. Everyone kept saying how beautiful everything was. A fairy tale. A dream wedding. I shook hands. Thanked people. Posed for photos. Inside, I was rewinding the video in my head, frame by frame. Then came the moment. I stood at the altar. The music swelled. The doors opened. And there she was, Samantha Hayes, walking toward me like nothing in the world had ever broken her. Eyes glistening, dress flawless, smile soft and wide. She didn't look guilty. She looked triumphant, as if she thought she'd won. Derek stood beside me, not even sweating, not even twitching. He leaned over just before the music faded. "You good?" I smiled, not even a little nervous. I used to think a wedding was the peak of love. But standing there, hand in hand with a woman who'd brought another man into our bed, I realized something else. Sometimes a wedding is the best place to start a war. Samantha looked stunning. No surprise there. Her dress shimmered like water under moonlight. Veil perfectly placed. Lipstick untouched from the moment she whispered, "Let's do this." But I wasn't looking at her beauty. I was watching her lies tremble just under the surface. The priest smiled, voice warm, rehearsed. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today." I heard none of it. My eyes were locked on Derek. He stood a foot to my right, smirking, relaxed. He hadn't glanced at her once. Not during her walk, not when we joined hands. Like he was trying too hard not to. Which told me everything I needed to know. He was still in it. They hadn't stopped. Not even this close to the finish line. Samantha's vows were next. She spoke softly, her voice cracking at all the right places. A perfect performance. "I knew from the first time you carried me over a puddle in the rain that you were the one," she said, eyes glistening. Guests smiled. Moms dabbed tears. Bridesmaids clutched tissues. Derek looked down at his shoes. My turn. I cleared my throat. "Samantha, you are light and fire and the calm after a storm. But more than anything, you are a mirror. You reflect back who we really are." She blinked at that. I smiled. "I see myself in your eyes. And I vow to always look closely." The priest didn't skip a beat. "Do you, Ethan, take Samantha to be your lawfully wedded wife?" "I do." "And do you, Samantha?" "I do," she said before he finished. She was so ready to win. To stand here, adored, wrapped in white lies and silk. "You may kiss the bride." I leaned in, kissed her softly, and felt nothing. Just calculation. Just silence in my chest. Applause. Cheering. The violinist struck up something joyful. We turned, hand in hand. I raised her arm like a trophy. Guests snapped photos. Some threw flower petals. Someone yelled, "You guys are perfect." She squeezed my hand, and I smiled at her like I believed it. Derek came over first. Hugged me tight. "You did it, man." "Yeah," I said. "We both did." He didn't flinch. Samantha leaned in to hug him, too. Whispered something I couldn't hear. I didn't need to. They thought they got away with it. They thought the cameras were gone. But I had a new one, hidden in the altar flowers. Streaming. The reception was a masterpiece. Golden hour over the vineyard. White tents. Long banquet tables draped in eucalyptus. Glass clinks, soft laughter, the smell of truffle oil and champagne in the air. Samantha floated through it like a queen, hugging, laughing, thanking everyone like she wasn't living a double life. She looked happy, but not with me, with the attention, with the performance. I moved through the crowd with the calm of a man who'd already made peace with the explosion he was about to cause. "Ethan, you look so happy." Her aunt cooed. "Best day of my life," I said, and sipped champagne. I wasn't lying. The DJ called for speeches. First her dad, shaky voice, proud eyes, something about watching his little girl grow up. Then my mom, who quoted scripture, and maybe, somehow, knew something was off. She kept looking at me like she could see right through the tux. I kissed her cheek. "I'm okay," I whispered. She nodded, but I think we both knew I wasn't. The slideshow screen was already set up. Samantha insisted on it. "Let's show everyone how far we've come," she'd said. I'd smiled and said, "Sure. We'll show them everything." The videographer gave me a thumbs up. I checked the feed on my phone. The live stream was rolling. Guests were watching in real time. Family across the country, friends overseas. Hundreds of eyes. Perfect. I stood and took the mic. "Thank you all for being here." I began, voice steady. "Samantha and I are honored." She smiled at me from across the head table, wine glass in hand. "I've always believed love is about truth," I continued. "And tonight, we're sharing some of ours." She tilted her head, puzzled. I turned to Derek. "And now, the best man. My brother in all but blood. He's got a speech you don't want to miss." People clapped. Derek stood, adjusted his collar, walked to the mic with confidence. He didn't look at me. He didn't look at her. Just smiled at the crowd like he'd already won. Derek took the mic like he was born with it in his hand. He smiled at the crowd, glass raised, sleeves rolled just enough to look effortless. "Wow," he said. "What a day, huh?" Laughter. Soft applause. He looked around, taking his time, savoring the spotlight. Like it was his moment. And in a way, it was. "I've known Ethan since we were 15, Derek began. "First time I saw him, he was getting chewed out by a math teacher for helping someone else cheat on a test. That's the kind of guy he's always been, loyal to a fault." People laughed again. Even Samantha. I didn't. He kept going. Stories from high school, college, the fire academy. "Ethan's the guy you call at 2 a.m. when everything's falling apart," he said. "Because you know he'll show up. No questions asked." I saw Samantha swallow hard. Not guilt, just nerves. Like she felt the air shift, but couldn't tell why. "And then he met Samantha," Derek said, turning toward her. She smiled, blushed even, like none of it had happened. "I'll be honest," Derek continued. "I didn't get it at first. She was way out of his league." People laughed. Samantha beamed. But then I watched them together. How she challenged him. How he steadied her. He looked right at me. And I thought, this is the kind of love that changes people. He raised his glass. "To Ethan and Samantha, true love, loyalty, and trust." Everyone clapped. Some even stood. And right as he handed me back the mic, I leaned in and whispered just loud enough for him to hear. "Let's roll the slideshow." The lights dimmed. The screen flickered. The first slide came up, childhood photos, awkward teenage haircuts, a montage of memories. People smiled. Samantha leaned her head against my shoulder. The perfect bride. Then the next slide. A screenshot of a message. "Derek, can't stop thinking about the other night." The room quieted. Another slide. "Samantha, he's at the firehouse tonight. You should come over." A few guests laughed nervously. Maybe they thought it was a joke. But the laughter died fast. Because the next image? A hotel reservation under Samantha's name. Then a photo. Them. Kissing. Blurred. Cropped from security footage. But obvious. "Wait. Is this part of the toast?" Someone whispered. Derek turned to me, white as the table linens. Samantha sat up straight. Her wine glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor. The room was dead quiet. 200 people frozen. Champagne mid-sip. Forks suspended in midair. Mouths half open in disbelief. On the screen behind me, a photo of Samantha straddling Derek on our living room couch. No timestamp needed. The decor said it all. The couch she picked. The blanket her mother gave us last Christmas. My firefighter helmet on the shelf, just out of focus. And right beside it, the ring box I'd used to propose. Poetic. The next slide was a string of messages. "Samantha, he's clueless. Said he's working a double shift tonight." "Derek, guess we've got the whole bed to ourselves then." I didn't speak. I didn't have to. I stood there, mic in hand, watching them squirm. Samantha's face went pale, then red, then pale again. Derek looked like a man trying to remember if he'd locked the door to the vault before it exploded. Someone at table 6 gasped. Someone else whispered, "Oh my God." A man near the bar muttered, "Is this real?" The slideshow answered for me. Because the next image? A frame from the hidden bedroom camera. Derek's watch. Samantha's leg. The unmistakable setting of our sheets. Black and white, but unmistakably them. I don't understand," Samantha stammered, finally breaking the silence. She stood, eyes wide, voice cracking. "Ethan, what is this?" I turned to her. Calm. Cold. "This," I said. "This is the truth." Derek tried to reach for the remote. I was faster. I stepped between him and the projector. "Sit down," I said. Quiet, but sharp. He froze. On screen, the final slide appeared. A quote, in plain white text. "He'll never find out. Samantha Hayes." The audience read it in silence. Then murmurs turned to movement. A bridesmaid got up and walked out. Someone dropped a glass. Samantha's sister stood with her mouth covered, shaking her head. Samantha turned to me, eyes wet, voice trembling. "Why would you do this?" "Why?" I said. "You gave me a wedding. I'm just giving you a reception you'll never forget." The video started without warning. Black screen. A soft click. Then motion. A camera angle from the corner of our bedroom. Discreet, unblinking. The audience didn't understand at first. It looked like just another slideshow moment. Then she walked into frame. Samantha, wearing my shirt, the one she always borrowed on Sunday mornings. Then Derek followed, shirtless, confident. The laughter in the room died for good. At first, it was silent. The audio kicked in 10 seconds later. Her voice. You've got 10 minutes before he's off shift, she giggled. Plenty of time, Derek whispered. Gasps. Real ones. Audible across the vineyard. A woman stood up, shaking her head. A man, Samantha's uncle, said, Jesus Christ, loud enough for the mic to catch it. Still, I didn't say a word. I just watched her unravel. Samantha ran to the DJ booth. Turn it off. Cut the feed. The videographer shrugged. Live stream's already out. Her head whipped around. What? I walked up beside her. That's right, I said quietly. It's not just the guests here watching. She stared at me like she didn't understand. It's streaming to everyone, I continued. Your coworkers, your clients, your parents. Her knees buckled. She caught the edge of the table. Ethan, she whispered, barely audible. Please. But it wasn't over. Because the next frame? A close-up. Their hands. Her face. The unmistakable betrayal. Then the text again. Overlaid this time. Derek, wish you'd wear that red lace thing again. Samantha, only if you promise not to rip it this time, winking face. Somewhere near the back, someone dry-heaved. Derek finally moved. Stormed toward the projector, grabbing wires. I stepped in front of him. Don't, I said. Ethan, this is insane, he said, breathing hard. This isn't you. You don't know me, I said. Not anymore. He looked down. For once, silent. Samantha started sobbing. Real tears. Not the fake kind she practiced for our vows. I made a mistake, she said, voice cracking. Please. We can fix this. I leaned into the mic. She said he'd never find out. Then I looked right at her. But I did. The footage ended, but the silence didn't. Not right away. There was a beat. A moment where time seemed to stall, as if the entire vineyard was holding its breath, waiting to see who would break first. It was Samantha. She screamed. A raw, guttural sound. Half fury, half humiliation. The kind that comes when your secrets are dragged into sunlight and you have nowhere left to hide. She stumbled forward, mascara running, hands shaking as she grabbed the microphone from my hand. This isn't real, she cried. It's taken out of context. This is. She looked around. Dozens of faces stared back. Some disgusted. Some stunned. Some filming. Oh my God, she whispered, turning to me. You set me up. I didn't move. Didn't flinch. You planned this, she said again, louder this time, voice cracking. A tear slid down her cheek, but her eyes were fire now. Rage, panic, shame, all crashing at once. You planned this. You stood up there. You said vows. I looked at her, and my voice was ice. Every second, Derek tried to play damage control. He stepped forward, hands raised like a hostage negotiator. Look, everyone, this has gotten way out of hand. No, I said, stepping in front of him. Not out of hand, just finally honest. He lowered his hands. Smart move. The crowd began to shift. A few guests stood. A couple walked out. One guy, her college friend, clapped. Once. Just once. The sound of it echoed. Samantha spun, looking at the guests. Please, she begged. Don't believe this. It was a mistake. It wasn't supposed to. She saw her mother. Saw the way her own mom looked away. That broke something in her. Her legs gave out. She dropped to her knees in her $6,000 wedding dress, sobbing in front of the same people who toasted her 5 minutes ago. I leaned down. Just enough so she could hear me through the sobs. You could have told me, I said. We could have ended this quietly. With dignity. She looked up, eyes wild, face streaked with tears and foundation. But you didn't want out. You wanted a secret. You wanted both. I stood up, straightened my jacket. And now you get neither. Derek turned to me. Man, come on, he said, voice low, desperate. We were friends. I stepped closer. Real close. You stood next to me in my father's casket. Held my hand. Told me you had my back. He looked away. That was true, he said. I didn't mean. But you did it anyway. I cut him off. He opened his mouth. I was already walking away. Someone in the back yelled, Is this a prank? Another voice answered, This is better than TV. And it was. Better than any reality show. Because this was real. Raw. Perfectly timed. The projector buzzed as the final frame lingered. Samantha and Derek, half naked, laughing in my bed. No music. No applause. Just the sound of my shoes on the hardwood as I stepped off the platform and set the mic down. I adjusted my cufflinks. Then I walked. Past the stunned guests. Past the frozen photographers. Past the floral arch we spent $3,800 on. Samantha called out, "Ethan, wait. Please, don't do this. We can talk." She followed, the heels of her wedding shoes catching on gravel as she stumbled after me. One strap had come undone. Her dress, once pristine, now trailed behind her like a torn veil of lies. "Please," she shouted. "Don't walk away." I stopped just before the edge of the vineyard. Turned around slowly. She caught up, breath ragged, eyes wild. "Ethan," she gasped, voice breaking. "You don't have to end it like this." She reached for my hand. I didn't take it. "End it," I said calmly. "This ended the moment you opened our door to him." Derek appeared behind her. He didn't run after me. He just watched, jaw set, as if he still thought he had something to salvage. I laughed, a quiet, bitter sound. "You two deserve each other," I said. She shook her head. No, Ethan, you don't mean that." "I do," I said. "And you know the best part?" She blinked, trembling. "You made this easy." There was a hush over the crowd behind us, but I didn't look back. I was done performing, done pretending. I turned and kept walking, through the vines, through the heat, into the kind of silence that only comes after fire. I didn't feel regret. I didn't feel pain. I felt clean. Someone shouted my name. I didn't answer. I reached the parking lot, unbuttoned my jacket, tossed the boutonniere on the ground. My phone buzzed. Texts from people watching the live stream. "Holy sh*T. You're a legend. Bro, Netflix needs this." I turned off my phone, stared at the sky, let the sunlight hit my face, and smiled. I woke up to over 300 unread messages, most from numbers I didn't recognize. The rest? Friends, co-workers, even old high school classmates I hadn't spoken to in years. All of them had seen it. Some watched the live stream. Others caught the clips on TikTok, stitched, slowed down, set to dramatic music and captions like, "Groom exposes cheating bride during wedding ice skull. Best man, more like worst man." There was even a soundbite trending. "You two deserve each other, alone." That line, my line, it was everywhere. I opened Instagram. The Vineyard's tag page was flooded. Photos of stunned guests. The screen mid-freeze on Derek's face. Samantha crying in her ruined dress. Someone had posted a video from behind the DJ booth. The caption read, "I came for wine and vows. I got betrayal and a front row seat to vengeance." But what hit hardest? The email. Subject line, "We saw what you did." I almost deleted it. But the message read, "Hey Ethan, I'm the director of PR for a crisis management firm. We help brands spin disasters. But what you did, that was art. If you're ever looking for a job in PR, call me. You've got instincts." Jenna, Mercer Strategies. I stared at the screen, half laughing, half in disbelief. Then came the fallout. A headline popped up in my Google alerts. "Wedding Day Scandal. Viral video shows bride cheating with best man." And under it, photos. One of me walking away in my suit, jaw set. Another of Samantha, slumped in her chair, surrounded by toppled champagne flutes and shame. By noon, her business website was down. Someone had posted screenshots of her messages with Derek on the front page. Her Yelp flooded with one-star reviews. "Hire her if you want betrayal baked into your bouquet. Wrecked my cousin's wedding. And it wasn't even hers." Her LinkedIn? Wiped clean. Her firm released a statement. "We do not condone unethical conduct, personal or professional. Samantha Hayes is no longer affiliated with our company." Fired. Disgraced. Publicly shredded. And I didn't have to lift a finger. The truth did the work for me. Derek tried to lay low, but someone from the wedding leaked a voicemail. His voice. Drunk. Panicked. "Sam, we're F***ked. They're calling my office. My boss saw the video. What the hell do we do?" It spread like wildfire. Reddit threads popped up dissecting every frame. YouTubers made reaction videos with titles like, "Groom goes nuclear in front of 200 people, and I'm here for it." I sat on my porch that night, whiskey in hand. The same porch where she once told me she'd never hurt me. I watched the video one last time. Paused it on Derek's face, just as the text started flashing on screen. Pure panic. The exact moment he realized the mask was off. It didn't end at the wedding. Not for Derek. For a while, he tried to act like it never happened. Deleted his socials. Stopped answering calls. Told people it was an exaggerated misunderstanding, a dramatized situation blown out of proportion. But the internet doesn't forget. Especially not when you've betrayed your best friend in high definition. I hadn't planned to leak more footage. Not originally. But then I got a call from his boss, the regional sales director at the tech firm where Derek worked. Ethan, the guy said, we're doing a formal investigation into his behavior. Anything you can share would help. I sent a folder. Timestamped. Archived. Watermarked. They fired him the next day. Then I released the rest. Just one clip. Samantha in lingerie, handing Derek a beer in my kitchen. He said, God, it's so easy lying to him. She replied, that's because he trusts you. The video hit 1 million views in 24 hours. Reddit went nuclear. Top 10 betrayals of all-time threads. TikTok edits. Reaction compilations with people pausing mid-video to scream. He said that in the guy's own kitchen. Then came the statement. From Derek himself. A long, rambling video posted to his Instagram before he deleted it. Face puffy. Shirt wrinkled. I just want to say I never meant for any of this to happen. I made a mistake. I lost a friend, a job, and the respect of people I care about. Please don't attack Samantha. We were both at fault. He paused. Looked off camera. I just wish I could take it back. Too late. He sent me a text a week later. Derek, you destroyed my life. I stared at it. Then replied, Ethan, you handed me the match. People started recognizing him in public. He got booed at a local bar. Someone threw a drink at him downtown. A guy from the firehouse texted me. Saw Derek today. Couldn't even look me in the eye. Good. He didn't deserve eye contact. He deserved the echo of his own choices. I got one more message from him. Derek, I know you hate me, but please, don't destroy her too. I didn't reply. Because Samantha? She had her own collapse to deal with. And I wasn't finished yet. The air smelled the same. Lavender, oak, and crushed grape skins baking under late summer sun. The vineyard hadn't changed. Same rows of vines. Same view of the valley. Same white chairs stacked under the pergola where I once said vows I never got back. But I was different. And I wasn't alone. Her name was Lila. Not perfect. Not polished. Not the type to fake a laugh for photos or kiss you with secrets behind her teeth. She was real. We met 6 months after the wedding. She never asked for the full story. She waited until I told her on my own. And when I did, she didn't flinch. She just said, damn, you handled it better than most. We came to the vineyard on a whim. I said, want to see where I almost married the wrong person? She raised an eyebrow. Is that supposed to be romantic? I shrugged. It's where the best day of my life almost happened. But it's also where I finally started over. We sat on the edge of the hill, overlooking the valley. She poured the wine. I watched the golden light dip between the vines. And I thought about all the chaos I'd walked through. The betrayal. The lies. The applause. The silence after the fallout. Samantha never reached out again. Her social media went dark. Her firm replaced her within the month. Last I heard, she moved east, changed her name, maybe. Derek disappeared too. Probably still trying to outrun the ghost of the groom he couldn't outsmart. Let him run. Lila clinked her glass against mine. What are we toasting to, she asked. I looked at her. At this moment. At this clean, quiet, honest life I'd carved from the wreckage. Then I smiled. And raised my glass. To loyalty, I said. And to knowing when to burn it all down.